Hi, what's up? Today I'm here to show you something no one on the internet can show you for free. Yes, I'm here to show you today for free, so follow me. What's up, family members? My name is Dr. Ken Stevens, aka Mr. We Take Another Shot, and I'm a film studio owner. I've shot over 1,000 videos. Most of it are music videos, some of it commercials, and some short films. I also recently did a feature film titled Laxelu, which was released early this year. Over my years of experience, I have faced a lot of problems, and I also found a lot of solutions. Today I'm here to share with you one of these solutions. I'm here to show you today how to use the Kodak 2383 film LUT like a fucking pro. Isn't that amazing? Follow me, let's go. Here's a video that was sent to me by my brother, friend, and he's a DOP, an actor. His name is Elvis Achire. He's based in the United States of America, and he sent this to me. I'll just go ahead and check my shots and see how many shots I got here. Shows I got 25 shots here. The first thing you have to understand before using the Kodak 2383 film LUT is that it's not a LUT that is made to create your looks. It's a LUT that was created to give you the film colors, give you the film contrast, give you the film texture, but then it's not going to create your look. So you have to create your look before you apply this LUT. And it's actually very tricky because when you apply the LUT, it's just so discouraging. And if you don't know how to fix the problems, you won't want to use the LUT. You will never love to use the LUT. I have been in that shoes myself. So I'll start by looking at all of the images and I'll group the similar scenes together. This is going to really help to speed up your work and make you really quick when you're color grading. Since this is the same scene, I'll create a new group. I'll just go ahead and create groups. Anywhere I see shots from the same scene, I'll just create a group. So you see we have 9 groups. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to work from a macro level to a micro level, and you understand what I mean by that when I start doing it. So when I'm done grouping, I'll just come over here and do my settings. First of all, I want to save my cache to this drive because I got more space here. And then I'll come to color management. I'll say timeline color space, DaVinci, wide gamut, intermediate. So this is the color space I'll be working in for me to achieve what I'm about to show you. I'll go ahead and create 5 nodes here. The second to the last node, I'll call it CST, and the last node will be where the LUT will come in. That's the 2383 film LUT, and here will be the contrast. And then these 2 nodes, I'll keep it free. So this is under the group post clip. So whatever I do here affects all these shots that were grouped. I'll come over to the clip node and I'll create 5 nodes. This will be my CST, and over here I'm going to drop a CST transform. So under CST transform, I'm going to say, hey, this was shot on red, Komodo 6K. Yeah, so you have to know the camera you're working with. You have to know the color space because it is very important. And if you miss this part, you might not have good colors. I'll put the color space of the camera, which is red, wide gamut. Input gamma will be red lock 3G10. Output color space, I'm going to go to DaVinci wide gamut. Remember, that's what we use in our color management. So I'm going to use the same thing, DaVinci wide gamut, and then DaVinci intermediate. And then I'm going to come over to my group section, and then under CST, I'm going to do the same thing. The input color space will be DaVinci wide gamut, and the input gamma will be DaVinci intermediate. The output, I want it to be Rec 709, and then I'll go to Xenon film LUT because I want to apply the LUT. So I'll come over to my Kodak 2383 D60 and I'll click on it. So right away you see what we got. If you go to the other images that were inside the same group, you see that it's being affected by the group. We have to make sure we copy the notes on all the other clips so we can have the same transformation. The reason why I use DaVinci wide gamut is because DaVinci wide gamut is a huge color space. You get the flexibility to play with colors without breaking them. You get the flexibility to even pop out colors real good. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing for all the other group nodes so that I can start seeing some colors before I start doing color grading. You get. I'll create a still for the group post, and then I'll create another still for the clip. And then when I come over to the next group, I'm just going to copy all the scenes, and then I say, hey, clip. I'll go to the group post, and then I'll click on the group post to copy grade on it. We still got problems, but we're going to work on that. So I'll do the same thing for all of my groups. So group post, and then clip. Okay, clip, post. So just go ahead and do the same thing for all of your groups, and then you have something like this. All of your images, already look presentable and ready for color grading. So this is where the whole magic starts. So after you've applied the 2383 film lot on your group, you're going to discover that it comes with a lot of problems. So we have two things to look at. First thing we have to do is solve the problems created by the lot. And then the second thing we want to do is create a look. The lot was not created with your camera. It was created with something else, you see. So when you apply it to your camera, you don't expect it to work exactly the way you want. It's never going to work that way. So you have to first of all solve the problem created by the lot. When you're done solving the problem created by the lot, you can now go and start being creative and create a look. So how do you do this? You have to ensure that the lot stays at the end of the tunnel and every other thing comes before the lot. If you put the lot here and then start doing your grades after the lot, you're going to miss it. You're working after the lot, so you're crushing. You start working when the lot is applied. So everything after the lot is like you're just crushing. You're just trying to adjust the lot, But anything that happens before this lot, you're using the space DaVinci Resolve is giving you, and then when it comes here, it fine-tunes it and gives it the color, the film color, which is what everybody likes. Under the clip, this is where my grade starts, and it moves. Look at this arrow. It moves to the right. Just imagine that the group post clip notes are over here. So it's the same thing. Just imagine if I was editing just one shot, I'll do everything here, but I'll ensure that my lot stays at the end. I don't know if that makes sense. So everything is done here, adjusted here, comes here, and is affected by this lot. That's the way you have to work with this lot. So let's move ahead. So the first thing I'm going to start asking myself is, what are the problems I can see? What are the problems this lot is causing? And when I ask myself that question, I'm going to say, hey, first of all, overexposure. I can see that it's overexposed. So I'll go ahead and work on the exposure. But I'm not going to work on the exposure on a group note, because anything I do here is affecting every other clip under this group. So I want to work on a micro level, which means I want to be able to attack just individual shots. So I'm going to come on the clip. I'll come to my primaries and then come to my HDR, and under my HDR I'll bring down the exposure. So see, I'm not using primaries, normal primaries to do this. I'm using the HDR palette because the HDR works better with DaVinci wide gamut. It works more natural than primary color tabs. So I'm gonna come here and go down to where I feel like it's okay for me. Somewhere around here it's good for me, and I'll just come here and then replace and fix. So remember, we are fixing problems here. So not all the clips have the same lights. Some of them were shot differently and different times. So you have to go individually to all the clips and then do the corrections. You see this? This is pretty dark, so I'll take it up. You see, like so. And then, yeah. Color grading is more about fixing problems rather than creating looks, because most times people love to see things natural. People love to see when videos look naturally beautiful. It's more beautiful when it's natural. So when you're putting more effort in creating looks, most times you're going off track. But if you try to fix the problems that you see in the images, you might get something natural and good looking, which is still a look. But I'm not saying you can't be creative when you want to. You can still be creative. But I'm just saying in a nutshell, like in a whole global level, it's more about solving problems, than creating, looks. Put it in your mind that way, then you start seeing things differently. Okay, my exposure is okay. So what other problem do I want to solve? I would say this image is a little bit warmer. I would like to do some white balance, So I'll come over to my balance. But this time around, I'm going to do it on a global level. So I'm going to come to group post. So over here, I'll come to this first node. Here, I'll say this will be my balance. So white balance. Any adjustment I do here should affect all the images under this group. So I'm coming over to my white balance and I say minus yellow, you see, and it gives me more red. I'll say minus red. You see what I'm getting? So just by doing these 2 tweaks, see what it gives me? I just took away some yellow and some red, and you see how balanced it is. I feel like this is how it was shot. I'll just take a look at everything, and I see that everything is pretty nice and balanced. Since I have a good, balanced image, the next thing I'm gonna do is work on my contrast. Please pay attention on where I place my notes, because it's very, very important. Where you place your notes counts a lot. It determines on how the note affects the image. So I place my contrast just before my CST because I want my contrast to be like the foundation of my look. I want my contrast to really hold everything together before getting to the CST and before getting to the LUT. So I'm going to come to the contrast. I didn't put my contrast up here. It's good you can still do contrast in the clip notes, but it's better to do your general contrast from the group. Then you can do individual contrast in the clip. So I'll come over to the group and I'll come to contrast and I'll just look at the waveform. What I'm trying to do here is I want this image to pop a little bit more, but without overexposing the image, you get. So I want the blacks to really come down a little bit more, and then the mid-tones pop up and the highlights kind of stay the same, you get. So this is where my highlights fall, so I want to try to maintain this. And how do I do this? I can only do this with the curves. So I'm going to come to the curves, and this is where my dark parts are, and this is where my bright parts are. So I'm going to create 3 points. The first point will be here. The second point will be here. The third point will be here. So we have 3 points. And in this 3 point, I'm going to create my contrast. So I'll create more points in between these points. So for example, I'll just come here and I say, hey, I want this down part. I just want it to touch a little bit more down here, and then I'll say I want this up a little, down a little, and then up a little. So now I'm just looking at the images. Look at how this curves is good because it touches every part of the images. You can literally just go wild, but you have to really be careful on how you work with curves because you can actually break your images or you can fix it. So look at what I'm doing. So I'm trying to create some contrast here without really breaking it, you see. Just creating points, and then so look at before and look at after. This is before. It was okay, it was nice, but after we're getting more contrast. And this contrast, this is what happens when you see professional videos. That's what you get. You get good contrast. It's really complicated to do this kind of contrast if you don't know what you're doing. So you have to really understand how light works in real life actually. So you have to pay attention on how the sun works. You have to pay attention on how different light works on skin, how it affects skin, and how the skin looks. You have to really go that deep for you to be able to understand how to use your contrast and how to keep your colors natural but cinematic. So I'm happy with this contrast. If you see on all the other images, the contrast applied, so you can see this. Look at how it pops more. You see this is dry, this is flat, and then it's giving us that pop. And see this here too. It's giving us that pop the way we want it, See that? See that? So we're taking advantage of that DaVinci white gamut space. You see this? See this? And if you do that and you think that maybe some images are overexposed, you can come over and just, rather than taking down the exposure, you could just go here and say highlights, go over to the primary wheels and say highlights, come down a little. So with this, you bring more details to the highlight, and then you still keep your contrast and your exposure. So you see this. You can begin to see that our look is coming in place even without me going to create, looks and all that. I'm just solving problems here. I've not even started, going creative. I'm just solving problems here. Let's see what other problem can we solve. I think we're pretty good. Oh yeah, the blue sky is just natural. I like it that way. But if I want to go creative, I could now decide, hey, to pop out the blue sky to get more blue. But we're going to see if we want to really do that. So when you're done with arranging the problems for the first group, you have to move to the next one and do the same thing, fix the same problems, even before you start creating looks. You have to fix all the problems, and then you watch the video all over again, because you don't know, some videos might not even need color grading after this. Like some groups might not need color grading after fixing problems. You just find out that they are already having the look, but most times our minds fool us. We think we really have to do too much to get the best, when actually the most beautiful things are very simply done and easily done, you get.